Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is the next video in the Excel automation scenario series. In this series, we are looking at the real-time automation scenarios that you might encounter in UiPath Studio. In the previous videos of this series, we have seen how we can refresh multiple pivots, what is invoke VB, how do we get the dynamic cell, how do we split CSV, how do we use loop in invoke codes, how do we hide and unhide cells. So all of these were available in the previous video. I'll put the link in the description and you can refer that. When we talk about Excel automation, I have one more playlist that is dedicated to the Excel activities where I'm explaining each and every activity in the Excel application scope and which are related to the Excel automation. You can refer that. I'll put the link in the description as well. Having said that, let us see the agenda for this video. In this video, we are going to see how do we read data which is split across multiple sheets. Then we are going to match and paste the data. So when I say match and paste, I means if I have data which is in two different sheet or two different Excel, how can we compare the data and paste the data based on the matching conditions. For example, in one sheet if I have data for country and in another sheet I have the short form, how can I match the short form to the countries? So that is what we are going to see in this video, and all of this by a step-by-step demonstration in UiPath Studio. So let's get started. To start with the automation, let's first see what we are trying to accomplish. I'm in my UiPath Studio. In the project folder, I have a folder called data, and inside the data, I have kept an Excel file which is called the sample Excel file. This is the file we are going to refer in the automation. If I walk you through the content, so the data Excel file, sample Excel file is having two sheets. The first one is called the data sheet and the next is called the master sheet. In the data sheet, I have a data which is related to some of the manufacturing, all the sales data. So the thing we are doing here, if you will see, there is something called a country code here. The country code is in a form of code. So let's say MEX refer to Mexico, CN is Canada, US is United States of America. And adjacent to that, I have one more sheet which is called the master sheet. In the master sheet, I have the country code and followed by the country name in full. So if I go IND, it is called India, and if I pass BN, it is the Bangladesh. Now, as part of the automation, what I am trying to accomplish here is in the data sheet, wherever there is MEX, we want to put the country name in full. Wherever there is, let's say USA, I have to put United States of America here and correspondingly the rate. So if you'll see in the master sheet, we have something called the code. This code corresponds to the country code here, and here it is called the country code, and then SRI I have to put Sri Lanka and the rate would be 45. So we have to map the two sheets and put the data accordingly here. So once we run the complete automation, what should happen is wherever there is CN, the bot should type here Canada and correspondingly the rate for the Canada. So that is what we are trying to accomplish here. In the real world scenario, this Excel can be a very big Excel and we can do the same with a different set of Excel. So it is not necessary that this data is available in the correspondingly sheet. We can have this data in different Excel sheet as well. So we are going to see how we can address this issue with the help of UiPath Studio. Now that we understand the complete objective of this tutorial, let us try to build the solution in the UiPath Studio. I am in UiPath Studio. I will go ahead and create a new sequence. I will call this sequence copy data across sheets maybe, and I will hit create. So the first thing here is we want to read this Excel file. So since every operation is going to be happening in the background, so we don't necessarily need the Excel application scope. We can always go ahead and take the read range of the workbook. So that way everything will happen in the background and I don't want to see anything on the screen, so I can always go ahead and use the this one, workbook. Okay, in the data, this is the Excel file for me. I will hit open. Now what is the sheet name? So if I go here, the sheet name, you will see the sheet name is data, right? So this I am reading the source data, right? So we will just rename it to data. We can always pass this thing as a configurable and we can read all this data from as an arguments or as an argument by reading the configuration file, and that way we can parameterize this workflow also. So as of now, let us just read the entire range. Once the data is read successful, what we want to do, we want to store it in a data table. The data table would be dt underscore, I will call it source. So I have the data available in my dt underscore source, and if you will see that the variable is also created for me. Okay, next what I want to do is I want to repeat the same activity for the second sheet. And where is the second sheet? The second sheet is available in the same Excel. So I will again point the read range to the same Excel like this. Now the sheet name would be, if I just go back to the Excel, the sheet name is master. So I will go here and I will change this to master. A is in small master. I want to read the complete range, so I will leave this blank, and here I will type dt underscore master. So that way now I have two data tables. The first data table is dt underscore source, that will consist this data, and the next is dt underscore master, that will have the data which is available in the master sheet. Now what should happen now, as I told in the beginning of the tutorial, that this data may be available in different Excel sheets. So how we can read that? We can always go ahead and take a read range. This read range may be of Excel application scope, and then you can have two data tables. To start with the actual logic, we only need two data tables. So in our case, the two data tables are dt source and dt master, and if you will see, the add headers checkbox is checked. That indicates that we do have headers for both the Excel sheets, right? Now next what we want to do, now I have both the data tables available, right? So now we want to compare it with each and every row. So if I ask you as a human, how would you do it, right? So you will go here, you will see MEX, then you will navigate this MEX to this in entire sheet, and if it is available you will type, right? So basically you are traversing each and every row of the Excel, right? So how do you traverse? So for that, in UiPath we have something called loops, and I will take a loop called for each loop, so that will iterate all the data, right? So I will go ahead with for each row of data table, because I have already read the data table in the dt underscore source. So I will drag and drop this guy here. And what is the first data table? So the first data table is dt underscore source. I will take the data table here, and let us just change this to source. Okay, so now what this source, now this source, source source, this guy will have these rows one by one, right? And what we have to do is we have to compare the data for the country code. So I will get here a country code. So for getting the country code, what I can do is I can take an assign activity. Okay, I will drag and drop it here, and we can directly even pass the row of source like this also, but it is a good way so that we understand it correctly. So I'll quickly create a variable called str country, so that way we are sure that what this country variable is having, and str country will have the data from this row. So now if you'll see, the row is the source and the country code is available in country code, right? So if I go here, this was the code, right? So in the real world automation, you can pass this thing from an configuration file, and also you can read this column not only with by this. So if you'll just see the syntax here, right? So you, if I just do it like this, so you can read it by the column name, by the column number. So we are using this guy. I am directly passing the column name here and dot to string. So now what would happen, when for each and every row it will pass the country code, this guy country code MEXGR in this variable called str country. Okay, let us do one thing. This is actually country code, so I will type it here country code, so that would make more sense, right? And this is updated accordingly. So I have the country code available. Next what we want to do is we want to check the country code in this sheet, right? So which is this sheet, in the master sheet, and we have this data in dt underscore master. Okay, so for that thing, what we will do is we will take one more for each, right? Because we have iterate that data table also, and that will be inside here, right, inside this for each. And now the data table would be dt underscore master, right? So and I will just call this row as master. And now, so now I am in the dt underscore source, and inside the dt underscore source we have the country code. So that means that I have, and when the bot will run, I have this guy available MEX in the variable which I have created. Now I want to compare this variable against the master data. So how do we do that, right? So inside the for each row I will type an if activity. Okay, let me go ahead and take a if. I drag and drop an if. So now if I have to check if the country code, str country code, which is the MEX, is available or not, right? So what we do is we are checking each and every row of the master, right? So what we have to do is if str dot equals, or let us, we can do it like this so it would be easier to understand. If this is the row, if master of which row, so now if I just type it here, so this is the first row of the master, right? This is the first row, so we want to check the country code in the master. So I will copy this, I will go back to the automation, I will pass it here, and dot toString dot equals, okay, dot equals, and I will pass here str country code. So now what is this expression? So we have already got the MEX here, right? So if I just take the example, we have already got the MEX here. Now we are telling you about to check MEX for all the data rows in the master, right? And in the master we have got this row in the first, and this is the column, right? So what we are telling UiPath, in the first row, whichever row you get, in the first row you check the country code if that is equals to this country code. So as of now, let us not write exactly in the sequence, but let's try to print this, right? So I will do a write line, right? And let's see what exactly, and as of now we will run in the debug mode, and we will say, let's say found, okay? And if it is not matching, we want to print not found. Okay, so let us just try to run this automation, and I will append this thing with the country code, right? Let me just do this thing so that way we are sure that we are moving in the right direction. I will do it like this, and in the not found also, let us try to run this file in the debug mode. Okay, so let me put a debugger here. Okay, now I will put a breakpoint here. So since we are using the workbook activity, we cannot keep this Excel open. So I have demonstrated all these things in a video which is called the difference between the Excel and the workbook activities. If you are not sure, I will put the links in the description and you can refer that. So as of now, I will just go ahead and save this. Okay, and let's try to run this file in a debug mode. I click on the debug file. Okay, so the bot is executing. Okay, let us go to the variables, and if you will see, we have a variable called str country code. So the first, it is having the MEX, right? And now we have a row, we would have a row called master. So in the master row, if you will see, this is the master row, right? And in the master row we have a data for the MEX. So let's see what should happen, right? So the first, it should go ahead and go in the found, because MEX was available, right? So it has found it, and which guy it has found? It has found MEX, right? So that means we are moving in the correct direction, right? So if I again go into step into, it will come out of the loop, and next it will again compare it for each and every row, and it will print found, not found, found, not found accordingly. Okay, so that means we are, see, if you'll see, it has not found the GR, because after MEX there was GR and GR was not available. Okay, let us do one thing. Now that we are moving in the correct direction, I will remove this guy from here, and now what we want to do. Now if I go back to the Excel, if I go to the project and the Excel file, let it open. Okay, so if this MEX is found here, what we want to return, we want the row, this is the row, right? The master row, we want to return the country name, and we want to print the country name here. Okay, so how do we do that? Once the country code is found, right? So to write the data in the cell, we use an activity called write cell, right? And you can use either of the write cell. You can use the Excel one or the workbook. So for the Excel one, you would require Excel application scope, but we can directly use this one because we want everything to happen in the background. Okay, so now it asks me for the workbook path. So right, so this is my workbook path. Sample Excel is my workbook path. Next, it asks me the sheet name, which sheet I want to write the data, right? I want to write the data in the data. right? And what would be the cell content? Let us talk about the cell content a little bit later, but let us first see what exactly is the cell, right? So if MEX is available, where we want to write the data? We want to write the data in the J column. And what is the J column? Country, right? So if you will see, it is starting, the first is header. So if the data is available, we have to write the data in J of 2, right? So what is this? This is J of 2, this is J of 3, this is J of 5, this is J of 11, right? So if you will see here, this column is fixed, but this number is changing. And how this number is changing? This number is getting appended by 1 every time, right? So how can we write that logic? It is very simple to write that logic, right? Where we want to write the data? We want to write the data in the J column. So this J is fixed, right? And next I want a number. So to have that number, what I will do is I will just go up, right? Not inside this for each, okay, not the parent one. So the parent one is DT source. Inside that I will create an assign activity. Okay, let me drag an assign activity here. Okay, and I will create an integer variable called, let's say, counter, integer counter. Okay, and I will assign it a value of 2. So by default it will be of type string. Let us change this to integer 32. Integer counter. Okay, let me change this to integer 32, and the value for the first time will be 2, right? So what would happen when the bot enters the first row? It would be 2, and once it is looping through the for each, right? So the first time it will, if the data is found, right, it will write in J of 2, right? So the now the data will be printed in J of 2. And where is the 2? It is in this variable dot toString, right? So now if I just open this expression here, okay, if I just go here and open this one, so what I am telling you UiPath, whatever data I want to write, you have to write in J of the counter. And what is the counter? As of now I have set the counter to 2, and this is we are assuming for the first time, right? So this would work, J of 2. And what is the cell content? Now the cell content is in the J of 2. I want to write this data, and this data is available in the country name of the master row, right? So what I do, if I go back here, I already have this master object, right, this row here. So I will type here master, and in the double quotes dot toString. So what would come here? In the master I would go here and I have to get the full name. So where is the full name? The full name is available in the country name. So this would be the column name. So I will copy this in the UiPath Studio. I will go here, and from the master row I want this guy, right, country name dot toString. Now if I just go back to the statement, so what we are telling UiPath, we are telling UiPath to, whenever the data is available, you have to write the data in the data sheet in the J column. And what data you have to write? You have to write the master of country name. Okay, and if it is not available, you don't have to do anything, right? So that is how the write cell will work. Now the question arises, what happens when the bot has already written? How this value will get incremented, right? So you would have guessed it correctly, we have to just increment the value by 1. If I go here and I will type int counter, and I will just specify here int counter plus 1. So what would happen, right? So first time it would be J of 2, right? So if I just navigate through the code, it would be, for the first loop it would be J of 2. Next it will get the country code, and it will write the country code whether it is available or not available. We have to just increment it by 1, and by this way the value would be 3, and when the next time the bot will run, we would write the value in J of 3. Okay, let us try to run this. I will close this, don't save. Okay, let me go here and run the file. Now the bot has executed. That was very quick. Let me go back to the Excel. And in the data, we were able to get this data. Okay, so we were able to get it for Max. It is Mexico, for Germany, for Canada, for USA, but we are not getting it for this. Let us see why we are not getting this guy. Okay, I am back in my UiPath studio, and if we will see here what is happening, it has printed only for 5 times. That means the loop, the counter, it's not placed in a correct location. Okay, so this is the problem here, right? So what is happening is we were incrementing the counter based on the inside loop, that is the master one, right? And master is having this data, and so basically we have to loop increase the counter based on the data of the actual sheet, that is the data. So the loop will be not inside the master, but it will be inside the for each of the actual one. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to just increment the counter, this guy. I will cut it and I will paste it in this for each loop. Okay, here after this for each inside the body of the source, right? And the initialization, this guy will come at the top. Okay, we'll go here and I will paste it here. Okay, and now let us just increase the scope of the variable. So the scope of the variable was inside this body. Okay, so integer counter. Now let us just increase the scope to this guy. Save. Okay, now let us save everything and I will close this Excel. Let me just keep it like this. Any which ways what will override the values. I will click on save. Let us go here and run the file. Okay, so bot has started and completed the execution in 2 seconds. Let us go back to the project folder. I'll open the sample file. Okay, let me maximize it and let us verify. Okay, so FRA is France, MEX is Mexico. Awesome. That means the automation which we have written is running successfully. Okay, so now the country is available. Now the next thing is we have to put the rate also, right? So how do we put the rate? So rate is available in the master in the rate column. So let us go back to the automation, right? And let us see what changes we have to do. We already have the counter here. We are looping it with the help of the source, so the country code will be as it is. We have to loop here and like this, right? So once the country code is matching, so now with writing the right cell where we are writing the country name, we have to write the rate also. So I'll just control C and let me put one more right cell here. Okay, I will go here and right cell this guy. Okay, and the workbook path will be same. Copy the workbook path, paste the workbook path. The sheet is data. Okay, I have come here, so the sheet is data. Let me rename it to data, right? And the now the content, right? So what we have to write in the content, now the content, it's not the country name, so now the content is the rate, right? So we will just have to specify here the rate. Go here and type rate here, and which is the cell. So the cell previously it was J, right? So we were writing in the J2, J3, J4. Now the rate we have to write in K2, K3 and K4. So the counter variable will be same. Only thing that will change is this alphabet, right? So if I just copy paste it here, the only alphabet will change is this guy. So now this will be right cell for rate. Okay, let me just do it like this so we can differentiate. Okay, this is for the rate and this is for changing the country. Okay, so I hope now it should work. Let me go back to the Excel. Let us delete everything, save this guy, close the Excel, save the XAML and let us run the file. Now the expectation is we should get both the country name as well as the rate. Okay, so the bot is executed in 2 seconds. That was very quick. Let us go to the output. I'll go to the project and open the sample excel file, and it seems like it has executed successfully. Let us validate the data. For let's say for Mexico, it has written Mexico and specified as 12. Let us go to the master sheet, and Mexico it was 12. For USA it was for USA it is also for let us go here. For Canada it's 23. So if I go here, Canada, Canada is 23, and the currency was CAN. Okay, so we were successfully able to get the country and the rate from a different sheets, right? So in the real world scenario, this sheet can be available in a different Excel, so we just have to update this data table, right? This guy. So we can just operate this logic in any of the data table. Okay, so now I hope you understand the concept of the data tables, how we loop through the data tables and get the matching of the data table and paste the data across the sheets. That completes the implementation for this logic. Let us have a quick recap. So in this video we have seen how we can read the data across multiple sheets, how we can match and paste the data with the help of data tables. In this video we have seen how we can loop a data table inside another data table, and we were successfully able to match and paste the data. And all of this we have seen with the help of step-by-step demonstration. Having said that, I'll wrap up this video here. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please do subscribe to the channel, and happy automation.